The promised video on solving quadratic equations. Start off with some definitions. You know what the word solve means. It means to, if I've got an equation like 3x plus 12, 3x is equal to 12, well then the solution of that is that x is equal to 4. So you solved that particular equation. An equation itself means it's something that has an equals in it, so it'll have, like the one above, it'll have 3x is equal to 12, or it could be 7x squared plus 12x plus 7 is equal to 0. The fact it has an equal in it makes it an equation. And a quadratic is something which has an x squared in it. So an example of this would be this one here, x squared plus 2x plus 7 is equal to 0. That's a quadratic equation. Or this one down here, which is 3x squared plus 5 is equal to 0. That's an example. And this one is 2x squared is equal to 12. That's an example of a quadratic equation as well. Okay, let's proceed on to how you solve these. Now, solve the equation x squared plus 3x plus 2 is equal to 0. We're trying to find the value of x which will satisfy this equation. The technique we use is we use factorizing. We factorize x squared plus 3x plus 2 into its two factors, and then we know that one of those factors is going to be equal to 0. So we know that we're going to have an x multiplied by an x because that's going to give us x squared, and we now need to have two numbers that are going to multiply to give myself 2, to give us 2. And the only numbers that 2 has that are factors of 2 are 1 and 2. So these are the factors of 2, and we know that they're going to go in here. And it makes no difference whereabouts we put them. So we put the 1 and the 2 there, and it's going to be plus. So x plus 1 multiplied by x plus 2 is equal to 0. Because these x plus 1 and x plus 2 are the factors of this here. And we know that one of these must be equal to 0. So x plus 1 is equal to 0, or x plus 2 is equal to 0. And that means x is equal to minus 1, or x is equal to minus 2. And if you plug in minus 1 into this x squared plus 3x plus 2 equation, equal 0 equation, we're going to get minus 1 squared plus 3 by minus 1 plus 2. And that's going to give me 0. And that's true. That actually works out. Minus 1 to be squared is plus 1. Minus 3 plus 2 is 0. Let's have a look at another example. We want to solve x squared minus 5x minus 14 is equal to 0. So the first thing we do is we put brackets in. We're going to work out the factors. We know that x is going to go here and x is going to go here because we've got x multiplied by x gives me x squared. Now, I'm looking for the factors of 14 that are going to multiply to give me 14 and are going to add together to give myself minus 5. The possibilities are 1 and 14 could go there, okay? 2 and 7. So 2 and 7 could go there. Or it could be 7 and 2. Or it could be 14 and 1. But they're all the different possibilities that it could be. All right, so I'll just rub them out of the way for a second. And then what you're trying to do is you're trying to work out which of these pairs are going to add up to give myself 5. Well, 1 and 14 don't. Because 1 plus 14 is 15. 14 minus 1 is 13. But 2 and 7, they look good. Okay, so now our question are, does the 2 go here and the 7 go there? Or does the 7 go here and the 2 go here? Either one of them will give me minus 14 because I have to make one of them a minus. But how am I going to make a minus 5? So I know that minus 7 plus 2 will work because I'm going to get, and I'll do this, I'll just point at it, the minus 7 multiplied by the plus 2 is going to give me minus 14. That's good. And also I'm going to get, I'll do this in green, I'm going to get minus 7 multiplied by x when I multiply this out, gives me minus 7x. I'm also going to get x multiplied by plus 2, which is plus 2x. And minus 7x plus 2x is equal to minus 5x, okay, which is here. So we've worked out the equations. I just rubbed this out now for a second. We've worked out the factors. So our factors are x minus 7 equals 0, or x plus 2 is equal to 0. And that means x is equal to 7, or x is equal to minus 2. They are the solutions to this equation. Let's do one more example. Right, solve x squared plus 6x plus 5 is equal to 0. So we start off with our brackets, equal to 0. and we will put in, start off our x's here because x by x is x squared. Then we look at the number 5 and we look at its factors. There are only 1 and 5. And the product of these, or the sum of 1 plus 5 is equal to 6. So we can go x plus 1, x plus 5. And if you look at this here, we're going to have, that's 1x, x multiplied by 1, and x multiplied by 5 is 5x, and they add up to give me 6x. So our solution are x plus 1 is equal to 0, or x plus 5 is equal to 0. And that means x is equal to minus 1, or x is equal to minus 5. They're my two solutions. Okay, on the next page, I'm going to give you some examples to practice yourselves, and then press pause, and then press play when you're done and see if you've got the right answers. Remember the factors of any... Remember that minus 2 multiplied by minus 5 is equal to plus 10, and minus 1 multiplied by minus 10 is equal to plus 10. So remember, the factors that you're coming up with can be positive and negative. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, there are the answers. I hope you got them right. If not, you might need to go back and have another little look, or ask me on the next time we have a class, ask me. You'll notice in this case we have a 2x squared here, not just an x. We start, not just an x squared, we start off with a very similar way. We start off with our brackets, equals 0. We have to write a 2x here and an x here. And the reason being that 2x multiplied by x gives me 2x squared. And that's the first thing I do need, is a 2x squared. I still look at my factors of 6, and it's going to give me 1 and 6 are factors, or 2 and 3. And now I have to decide which is going to go here. Do I need a 1 and a 6 in those places, or do I need a 2 and a 3 in those places here? Okay, let's just pencil in the 1 and the 6 here and see, could that possibly work? So I would be multiplying a 2x by a 6 and a 1 by an x. That would give me 12x and 1x. Now there's no way that that can give me a minus x. So it cannot be 1 and 6. Let's try 2 and 3. Okay, now in this case we have that 2x multiplied by 3, that gives me 6x, and the 2 multiplied by the x gives me 2x. Now 6x and 2x, again, I can't possibly make a x or a minus x out of that, so it can't be 2, 3. Let's maybe try the other one, which is 3, 2. And you can do these little marks on your paper as well. You could just write the numbers down below, and then in your head you're going to go, well, 2x multiplied by 2, that's 4x, and x multiplied by 3 is 3x. Now, a 4x and a 3x, I can make a minus x out of that. So it's going to be 3 and 2. So I can write these numbers in here, 3 and 2. Now, all I need to do now is, I know that I need a minus 6 when I multiply these together. So the 3 or the 2, one of them must be a negative. So what's it going to be? I also need a minus x here, a minus x there, right? That needs to be a minus x. So I think I'm going to need 2x multiplied by 2 is going to give me 4x, and a 3 multiplied by x gives me 3x. So I need a minus 4x and a plus 3x. And minus 4x plus 3x gives me minus x. So my solution is 2x plus 3 is equal to 0, or x minus 2 is equal to 0. Sorry, I'll just clean that up a little bit. X minus 2 is equal to 0. And that means that 2x is equal to minus 3. X is equal to minus 3 over 2. Or x is equal to 2. So there are my two solutions. There and there. Both of these numbers, if I plug this or this into this equation, I will get 0. And that's what we're trying to do. Okay, let's do another example. Okay, the next example is to solve 2x squared minus 5x plus 2 is equal to 0. Start off with our brackets, the 2x and the x equal to 0. And then my factors of the 2 are 2 and 1. So I'm going to try 2 and 1 here and see what happens. See if they might be the factors we're going to use in this particular case. 2x multiplied by 1 will be 2x, and 2 multiplied by x is also 2x, and 2x is 4x. So I haven't, and I can't make a 5 out of that. So it looks like that 2 and 1 are incorrect. Let's now try the 1 and the 2. I'm now going to have a 2x multiplied by a 2 is a 4x, and a 1 multiplied by an x is 1x. 4x and 1x is 5x. So these are my numbers. I'm going to have a 1 here and a 2 here. I need a minus 5x here, look. Minus 5x So therefore, I'm going to have a minus 1 and a minus 2. Minus 1 multiplied by minus 2 gives me plus 2. 2x multiplied by minus 2 gives me minus 4x. And minus 1 multiplied by x gives me minus x. So minus 4x and minus x is minus 5x, which is what we got. So this is our solution. 2x minus 1 is equal to 0, or x minus 2 is equal to 0. And that means 2x is equal to 1, and x is equal to a half, or x is equal to 2. So these are my two solutions. And again, to repeat, if I was to plug in x equals to a half into this equation up here, I would get 0. Or if I was to plug in x equals 2 into that equation, it would give me 0. Now on the next slide, I'll give you 3 questions that you can try yourself, the usual. Okay, there are your 3 equations to solve. Have a go, press pause. And there are your solutions. So hope you got them all right. If not, you can check out and so on. I will do one of these in a bit more detail on the next page. So if you didn't get them right, you can see how I did it again. Okay, on the next page, I'll do that now. Okay, we start off as usual. I'm going to write 5x here and x here, because that's the only combination. By the way, I could have written an x here and a 5x there. That wouldn't make any difference. The order of the factors doesn't make any difference. But 5x and x, they're the only 2 possibilities that will give me 5x squared. Okay, now I write down maybe my factors of 6. So my factors of 6 are 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. So they're the possibilities here. Let's try a 1 and a 6. Now I want to see, this 5x is going to multiply by this number to give me 30x. And this 1 is going to multiply by the x to give me 1x. Now there's no way that a 30x and a 1x can give me this minus 13x. I can't manipulate those numbers. So it's not a 1 and a 6. Okay, let's try a 6 and a 1. That's a possibility, a 6 and a 1. Now I've got 5x multiplied by 1 is 5x, and 6 multiplied by x is 6x. 5x and 6x, again, it's only 11x. That's not 13x. I can't do anything with those. So it's not a 6 and a 1. So therefore, it must be a 2 and a 3. All right, so let's see, 2 and a 3. 2 here, 3 here. So I've now got 5x multiplied by 3, that's 15x, and 2 and x gives me 2x. Excellent. Because 15x and 2x, I can subtract those to give myself 13x. 15x and 2x, I can subtract them to give myself 13x. Now, they both have to be minuses. Okay, so because I need a minus here and I've got a plus 6 here. So both of these numbers, the 2 and the 3, both numbers need to be positive or negative. If I make them both positive, well then I won't get a minus 13x here. But if I make them both minus, I'm going to get minus 15x and minus 2x. Well, that's minus 17x. That's wrong. So it looks like the 2 and the 3 in that sequence is wrong. So let's just try it. My last effort, and better be right, is when I put the 3 here and the 2 there. So let's just rub this out. Pencil is always good for maths, by the way. Let's put a 3 here and a 2 there. Now I'm going to get 5 multiplied by 2 is 10. And 3 multiplied by x is 3x. So 5x by 2 is 10x, and 3 by x is 3x. That's 13x as well. So they might be right. Now, I need to put a minus in front of one of these so that I can get a minus 13. But both have to be minus actually, because I have a plus 6, don't I? So it has to be minus 3, minus 2. Let's see, just double check. 5x multiplied by 2 is minus 10x. And minus 3 multiplied by x is minus 3x. Good. Minus 10x minus 3x is minus 13x. So minus 3, minus 2. And then my factors are 5x minus 3, x minus 2. So 5x minus 3 is equal to 0, or x minus 2 is equal to 0. And that means that 5x is equal to 3, or x is equal to 2. And if 5x equals 3, x is equal to 3 divided by 5. So my factors are like this. My solutions. So I've solved that one as well. Hope that helps.